Are we live? Are we live right now? Okay, I think we're live. What's up, guys? It's Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars. So, we're going to get the sad news out of the way right off the bat, because we do have some other Star Wars news to get to, and we're going to try to keep it an upbeat stream still, even after this sad news at the beginning. So, I'm sure many of you know, yesterday, I believe, I think it actually happened on Sunday, but the reports came out yesterday that Ray Stevenson has passed away. He was 58 years old, I believe. Star Wars Stu, what's up? He was 58 years old, and he is, of course, going to star in the Ahsoka show later this summer. He's going to play Balin, and, of course, he's still going to play the role of Balin in the Ahsoka show that comes out later this year. But he is no newcomer when it comes to Star Wars. He voiced Gar Saxon in Star Wars Rebels and Season 7 of the Clone Wars, and he's just been around Star Wars for a long time. Of course, he has been one with the Star Wars fandom since 2015, maybe, since he first appeared in Star Wars Rebels, but it's, of course, a very sad time for his family, for the Star Wars community in general, because this character, of course, just based off of the rumors, the leaks, the trailer, seems to be a very cool character. And it's really sad to see him go so soon. And of course, oh, did we freeze? Are we good? And of course, it seems very sudden. Okay, now we don't know what happened, why it happened, whatever. But still remains, he had a great career, great life, I'm sure. Don't know him personally, but he was in the MCU. He was a huge part in the first 3 Thor movies. He was in Dexter. He was in the Vikings show. He was in Divergent. He was in G.I. Joe. The guy had an amazing career. So, obviously, condolences out to his family, condolences out to everybody who knew him, who got to be around him, got to know him. And most of the Star Wars fandom, I'm sure, really looks forward to seeing him play the role of Balin in Ahsoka later this year. And I'm sure it will be a fantastic performance because it's all he's done his entire career. And I can't wait to see it. I mean, I know we talk about it all the time on the streams. We talk about it all the time around the channel. The Ahsoka show is going to blow minds. It's going to be amazing. And I believe that Balin and his apprentice, Shin, were going to be a big, big part of that. And Ray Stevenson brought that to life. So it is quite a bummer that he had to go so soon. And, of course, condolences out to everybody. Can we get some rest in pieces, RIP, some praying hands in the chat would be appreciated. Of course, try to keep it a upbeat stream. Try to keep it a more light stream after we get through that bit of course, it's a very sad time to be a Star Wars fan after you get news like that whenever any of the Star Wars family passes away. But we do have some Natalie Portman news, her possibly coming back to being Padme. We have some other news regarding the Ahsoka show with Sabine, with Ezra, with all that other fun stuff. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. Just had to get that out of the way immediately because that is of the utmost importance in our minds as Star Wars fans and in the Star Wars community. So, of course, he's going to be missed dearly, and I'm sure he gave a great performance when it comes to the Ahsoka show that we're going to see later on this summer. Let's move on just right away so we get it upbeat a little bit here. We can get back to it if people want to talk about it later. But let's move on to this Padme news. So Padme Amidala is played by Natalie Portman, or was played by Natalie Portman. We haven't seen Padme in live action since 2005. Which is now 18 years ago, right? Yeah, 18 years ago, which is kind of crazy. That's a long, long time ago. And Padme was such an important character when it came to the prequel trilogy. Of course, the mother of Luke and Leia. And kind of the reason that Anakin fell to the dark side. A big, big part of the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker is Padme Amidala. That's why I think the Kenobi show was lacking something, and maybe that something was Padme Amidala. When you have Vader and you have Obi-Wan, you can't really have the two without Padme. If Obi-Wan even brought up Padme in that finale when facing Vader, or you even saw Vader having like visions of Padme, like talking to himself, but he thinks he's seeing Padme, something along those lines. You have to remember, Vader did all of this to save Padme. That was his whole goal. He couldn't save his mom, so he has to do everything possible to save Padme, and that's what turns him to the dark side. Now we have Natalie Portman, the actress herself, saying that she is open to coming back to Star Wars. Now, she has yet to receive the call, as she says, which is bonkers to me, absolutely insane. Because if you're Lucasfilm, if you're Disney, it's an easy, just knock out of the park, easy thing to just bring in Natalie Portman. She wants to come in. She wants to play the role. So what the hell are you waiting for? The Obi-Wan Kenobi show was the perfect time to bring her back, to just have an appearance of Padme. It was just the best time to do it. The best time. And yet it didn't happen. So there is another scenario where Padme could show up, and that is again in the Ahsoka show later this year. Now, how is that possible, Mike? She's been dead for years now. If you look at where the Ahsoka show takes place, which is in the Mandoverse time period, she's been dead since Revenge of the Sith. Well, there's something called the World Between Worlds, and we know that the Ahsoka show is going to go heavily into the World Between Worlds, which is going to be very, very cool because we don't know much about the World Between Worlds. Many people believe it to just be a time travel device to go back and save anybody, but we know that's not true because that would change everything in Star Wars, and Dave Filoni himself has come out and said that that's not what it is. So we will see what the actual World Between Worlds is, the extent of it, and what can actually go on in the World Between Worlds. We will see all of that in the Ahsoka show. But the most important thing is she will go back to Mustafar and fight Anakin Skywalker. Now, she will be replacing Obi-Wan in the fight, and maybe she could get Anakin to come around. She is the apprentice of Anakin, the closest person to him. A lot of Anakin's fall to the dark side was also because of Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order, seeing the flaws in the Jedi Order, and leaving. So maybe Ahsoka, maybe, just maybe, Ahsoka could get Anakin to come back around. But with all that being said, who else is on Mustafar at that time but Padme Amidala? It wouldn't be a big scene. It wouldn't be a big part in the show. But if Natalie Portman wants to come back and cameo just once, just one more time for good old times, to play Padme, do it. I'm sure there isn't one single fan in this whole entire world that would tell you they wouldn't want to see Padme Amidala just one more time. It's the same thing as seeing Qui-Gon Jinn in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Liam Neeson played Qui-Gon once. He played him once in 1999 in The Phantom Menace, and that was it. He died to Darth Maul. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, it's been out for 24 years. He died to Darth Maul. So it's kind of like, well, if you could bring back Liam Neeson, who literally played the character once 24 years ago, why can't you bring back Natalie Portman, who wants to come back to play the character of Padme Amidala, who played the character of Padme Amidala for like a half a decade. She played her from 1999 up until 2005. For 6 years, she played the character throughout 3 different movies. Natalie Portman wants to come back. We're going to watch this interview actually, and we're going to read the articles about the interview because this is very important. Because the Ahsoka show has the ability to bring in Padme. Has the ability to go back in time and have these cameos of Anakin, of Obi-Wan, of Padme, of Rex, of all these Clone Wars characters and more. The Ahsoka show could do that with the World Between Worlds. So when we talk about the Ahsoka show being absolutely insane and blowing minds, like, that doesn't even do justice to what it actually could do. The World Between Worlds itself could literally change the future of Star Wars forever. Like, forever, you know? Anthony, what's up, Anthony? Anthony says, he says, Mike, as I said, a flashback to the 2 days before Padme went to Mustafar. Her experiences knowing the Jedi Purge on Naboo, harboring Jedi. Could be Grogu. Are you talking about just a flashback in the Ahsoka show with that? Here's the thing. Ahsoka is pretty good friends with Padme. She is. She's pretty good friends with Padme throughout the Clone Wars. Just the connection between Padme and Anakin and Ahsoka and Anakin alone is enough to make them friends. So if Ahsoka does go back into the world between worlds, if it's not a flashback, if it's her actually going back to try to change the past events, and of course she's going to fail. She's going to find out that the past can't be changed. But she's going to try. If she goes back to try to change the past events, wouldn't she use Padme to help? Like, Obi-Wan just kind of smuggled himself onto Padme's ship in Revenge of the Sith and then showed up, and that's when Anakin said, liar, and ends up choking out Padme. But Ahsoka would use Padme to help. They would come at Anakin as a joint force, Ahsoka and Padme, and hopefully, at least in their own minds, stop him from turning to the dark side. So this would give, first of all, a live-action appearance of Ahsoka and Padme together on the screen, but it would also have Natalie Portman come back to the character of Padme. But you would also have the two characters that are closest to Anakin, his Padawan and his wife, mother of his children, coming to him and maybe stopping him from turning to the dark side, which would be insane. It would be absolutely insane, and it would be very, 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 very cool. And I think it's possible. I think Dave Filoni is the kind of guy who could get this done. He's the kind of guy who would go to Natalie Portman and say, look, I got this idea for having Padme come back for just a few scenes. Would you like to do that? And she's going to be like, hell yeah, because look, she's already said hell yeah to wanting to come back. And we're going to pull that up right now. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. So here we go. Let's read this article right here. Let's read this article right here. Doom, 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 doom. While we pull this up, smash a gosh darn like on this video, and if you want, join that Discord in the description below to the people who love Star Wars. This is Discord down in there. Go check that out. Okay, let's see. Star Wars. Natalie Portman shares promising response about potential return. Just that alone gets me very, very excited. Promising response about a potential return of Padme Amidala. Crazy. So this is a picture of her, I think, in Thor. Most recently, she was in Thor. Okay, there we go. Natalie Portman, who played Senator and Queen at one point. It's funny how she was Queen when she was like what, 12, 14, whatever she was in The Phantom Menace. She was the Queen then, and then she becomes a Senator. Like, Senator comes after being Queen on Naboo. And literally all the people there were being ruled by a 14-year-old. How old is she in Phantom Menace? 12? Because Anakin's 9, right? Anakin's 9. What do we know? What do we know? Somebody help me out. Somebody help me out. I'm going to get to Anthony's chat before we get into this first. Anthony says, number 1, Padme finds out about Order 66. Wow. Number 2, Jar Jar tells her of Master Kelleran who saved Grogu. Jar Jar because Kelleran is Jar Jar. Yeah, I got you. Number 3, Queen of Naboo hiding Jedi. Number 4, Senator Organa tells her about Ahsoka on Mandalore versus Maul. And number 5, sworn to secrecy. All that would be absolutely bonkers. That would blow minds, and it would change almost everything. But it would be funny if it was Jar Jar telling Kelleran that it was Grogu. Yeah, that would be funny. But yeah, there is a weird kind of disconnect here, and maybe Dave Filoni will fill this gap because Kelleran Beck does go off on a Naboo Star Cruiser, and he's helped by the Nabooians. Are they called the Nabooians? I'm calling them the Nabooians. And he's helped by the Nabooians, and he jets off in a Naboo Star Cruiser. So we don't know where Grogu actually is, even still now in between Order 66 and the beginning of The Mandalorian. So maybe this will actually fill in that gap. You might be right, Anthony. You might be on to something. He follows up and says, Padme was 14 and Anakin was 9.5. Oh, the half really helps. Thank you. So she was 14 and the Queen, and then after that, when she gets older, she becomes the senator, as one does. Okay, let's get into this article. So, Natalie Portman, who played Senator Padme Amidala in Star Wars: The Prequel Trilogy, by Natalie Portman. Wait, what? Who played Senator Padme Amidala in Star Wars: Prequel Trilogy by Natalie Portman. I'm not stupid, right? This sentence is dumb. Natalie Portman, who played Senator Amidala in Star Wars' prequel trilogy by Natalie Portman, shared whether she would make a Star Wars comeback. Most Star Wars fans know the score by this point. Star Wars Revenge of the Sith focuses chiefly on Anakin Skywalker's fall to the dark side. Caught up in the chaos of Skywalker's wife Padme, who died of a broken heart. Wah, 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 when Anakin turned to evil and betrayed everything she stood for. Revenge of the Sith. Why is that so hard for me to say right now? Revenge of the Sith came out 18 years ago, and Padme only appeared in Star Wars content set before her death, meaning Natalie Portman hasn't portrayed the character in almost 2 decades. A long, long time. But she could come back. Natalie Portman responds to the idea of reprising the role of Padme. During an interview with GQ, do we want to watch that video? There's like a whole 8-minute video. So it's a long, long video, but we could watch parts of it. During an interview with GQ, in a segment where she responded to the questions from fans on the internet, Natalie Portman was asked if there was any chance she would return to Star Wars following her most recent appearance in Revenge of the Sith. So it would obviously have to be before Revenge of the Sith. That's when it would have to take place. It would either be a flashback or something in the world between worlds. The actress stated that she'd be game to make a return. If for those of you who aren't cool enough, to be game is to be in. She's in for it. Stupid way of phrasing it. This is what Natalie Portman had to say. I have no information on this. No one ever asked me to return, but I'm open to it. This is the biggest disgrace in Disney Star Wars. Honestly, nobody has asked Natalie Portman if she wants to come back to play Padme. What are we doing over there? Kathleen, wake up. You got an actress, one of the biggest actresses in the world, a fan favorite character in Star Wars, in Padme Amidala. Natalie Portman herself wants to come back to Star Wars. And you guys haven't even asked. Crazy. Portman was also met with a query over whether or not Taika Waititi really forgot that she was in Star Wars while the two were working on Thor: Love and Thunder for Marvel. So this is kind of a funny story. When they were working on Thor: Love and Thunder, Taika Waititi was writing his Star Wars film. I think he's still writing it, honestly. Who knows what's going on with Taika's movie, honestly. But he jokingly asked Natalie Portman if she wanted to be in Star Wars. And she's like, well, I've already been in Star Wars. And it's just a joke because Taika forgot that she was in Star Wars. He says he did because he asked me if I wanted to be in a Star Wars movie, and I was like, I was. I thought he was joking. He's such a joker, and I thought it was a joke. And then afterwards, he said in some interview that he was was cringing afterwards. So yeah, Taika actually forgot. That seems to be the thing. I mean, it's not really his place to remember that kind of stuff, but when you're writing a Star Wars movie, it kind of is a bad look when you don't know Star Wars. So, could Padme Amidala really return to Star Wars? The Star Wars franchise tells a lot of different stories in a wide variety of eras in its timeline. Because of this, even though Padme lived up until 19 BBY or before the Battle of Yavin in A New Hope, there's still ample room for Natalie Portman to play the role again. She could appear in a flashback to the Clone Wars era, in a holographic recording, that's true, I never thought of that, and even a Force vision, and that would probably be from Anakin or Darth Vader. While not confirmed to be in development, there have been plenty of speculation that the Obi-Wan Kenobi show could receive another season on Disney+. Season 1 featured a memorable flashback sequence in the 5th episode that showed the lightsaber sparring between Obi-Wan and Anakin, which took place after Attack of the Clones. So there was a flashback sequence that was after Attack of the Clones that was during the Clone Wars time period. The only thing is that Padme wasn't there at the Jedi Temple. Padme wasn't involved at all in that flashback sequence, which was a bummer. I think it was a huge missed opportunity that Padme was not in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. I don't think they should make a second season just to put Padme in there. But if they are going to do a second season of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, you might as well just make it all flashbacks. Make it like a live-action Clone Wars or something along those lines, because it's just not a good idea. Not a good idea. So, if there were to be a second season of the popular streaming show, I mean, it's popular because it's your two main characters. It's Obi-Wan and Anakin, the chosen one himself, back. And let's be honest, that finale, so good. So good. The show itself might not be top tier, but that finale is... I rewatched that rematch of the century like every day of my life because it's so great. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I'm sorry, Anakin, for all of it. Yeah, it's too good. It's too good. Honestly, it makes the show. Perhaps Amidala could be shown in a similar throwback scene. Given the character's strong ties to Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader, it seems it makes sense that he'd factor into another return for her. And even though Vader's story has mostly been told in the franchise, the minds at Lucas could likely still figure out an angle, though, to bring back Padme. Let's be honest. Have you guys played... Tell me in the chat if you've played this. What is it called? Oh, Vader Immortal. Vader Immortal. Do any of you guys use the VR headsets? Vader Immortal. So that story is like you get captured by Vader, and I won't spoil it for anybody who hasn't played it, but there's a lot of connections, like Anakin, or Darth Vader, I should say, is trying to resurrect / bring back Padme from the dead, kind of. So he still really is trying to keep Padme alive, or bring her back to life, I guess, even years after he's still Vader. Like, he's been at the dark side for so many years, and he's still trying to bring back Padme. So, yeah, I just wish that the Obi-Wan Kenobi show brought... it would have been good. It would have been good. So, even if it never ends up happening, it's nonetheless encouraging that Natalie Portman is up for making a return voyage to the galaxy far, far away. It is very cool that she wants to come back, but Disney has to get their head out of their ass and actually invite her back. It would be a huge missed opportunity if we don't see Padme Amidala ever again. It would just be dumb, it would be stupid, it would be dumb, and it was stupid. And now we know that Disney and Kathleen Kennedy are stupid, and they're dumb, and they're dumb, and they're stupid, and they're stupid, and they're dumb. But at some point, somebody has to stand up and say, Natalie Portman just said she wants to come back to Star Wars. Maybe we should get her back to Star Wars. You know? Like, maybe, just maybe, we should get her back to Star Wars. Anthony says, my take, Representative Binks was the one who set up the Naboo Starcruiser, the Naboo Royal Guard, to rescue Jedi younglings, and Queen Apilana, is that the new queen, I'm guessing? I don't remember. Is protecting refugee Jedi. Padme hides this intel. That is possible. But here's the thing. You have to remember that Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine, the guy who just created the first galactic empire, who just executed Order 66, was just a senator, like not that long ago, just a senator, why am I slurring all my words today? Just a senator on Naboo. He's literally from Naboo. So I don't think Naboo is probably the best place to smuggle some Jedi, but I mean, I feel like that would be the first place that Palpatine would look. But maybe. Anthony says, Queen Apilana didn't buy into the PR story of Padme's death or the Jedi versus the Republic. 1 year after Queen Apilana, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I honestly am too lazy to look it up, gets assassinated, publicly denounced by the Empire for harboring wanted Jedi. Is this just your theory, or is that like canon, Anthony? Because now I don't know. I'm confused. That would be awesome if that's what you think should happen. I'm down for it. That would be awesome. But here's the thing though. Is the Ahsoka show still going to its Legends canon? Oh, is it really Legends? Huh. Fascinating. That would be cool. But here's the thing. is Dave Filoni going to take time out of the Ahsoka show to explain Grogu's story, where Grogu goes after Order 66? Now, here's why I think that is possible. Dave Filoni only co-wrote on 2 episodes of The Mandalorian Season 3. The first one being the Order 66 flashback. And the second one was the second to last episode, the runner-up to the finale. But the significance of him writing that episode for Order 66 could be because he wanted that to go a certain way. He wanted Keller and Beck to save Grogu in a certain way so that it will tie in perfectly to the Ahsoka show, because he is the only one writing and producing the Ahsoka show. It's just him. John is not involved at all, really. So it's going to be interesting to see if Dave Filoni co-wrote that episode in The Mandalorian Season 3 just to make sure that Order 66 flashback with Grogu being saved by Keller and Beck went the way he wanted it to, so that it ties into the Ahsoka show. Now, I don't know if they'll take any time out of the Ahsoka show to put in Grogu. I think the Ahsoka show is going to be jam-packed. People talk about filler episodes and how they hate them. I don't think that Ahsoka is going to have a single filler episode. I think it's going to just be bang, 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 because there's 8 episodes. I think it's going to be awesome, and I actually believe that there won't be a single filler episode. I don't even think there'll be a single filler scene. I think Dave Filoni's putting his heart and soul into this. I think it's going to be Star Wars Rebels Season 5, and it's just going to go balls to the wall, just great. I'm losing my voice, so I got to drink some water. Okay. Anthony says, I'm fine with it being depicted somewhere within the Mandoverse. It could even be in an episode of Season 4 of The Mandalorian, or Season 2 of Ahsoka, if that happens. I think Ahsoka could get a second season. The only thing that makes me think it won't get a second season is the fact that Dave Filoni is writing and directing the Heir to the Empire movie. So when is he going to have time to write and produce on a Season 2 of the Ahsoka show? And if there's going to be a Season 2 of the Ahsoka show, Dave Filoni is going to be the guy who writes and directs it. So I just don't think Dave Filoni has enough time in his day to do a Season 2 of the Ahsoka show. Also, I think the Ahsoka show is going to perfectly set up Thrawn to come into Mando Season 4, and then, of course, the Heir to the Empire movie. Now, I don't know if the Skeleton Crew show is going to tie into Thrawn really at all, or if Thrawn's even going to be mentioned in that show, or whatever is going to happen. But Thrawn is definitely going to be a big part of Mando Season 4, and of course he'll be the big bad of the Mandoverse movie. The Heir to the Empire movie, that is. So, I just don't, I don't know. I really hope, going all the way back to Padme coming into live action again, I really hope that she does, just because the World Between Worlds is such a cool, untapped potential thing. And for a fact, Dave Filoni wants to explain it, wants to explore it, wants to do everything he wants to do with the World Between Worlds, because he's the one who freaking created it back in Star Wars Rebels. So the World Between Worlds has to be explained, because a lot of casual fans and even some of the more sweaty fans that didn't really like Rebels or didn't really watch Rebels still think that the World Between Worlds is just a time travel device where you can go back and save anybody, and nobody's ever truly gone, like the great Luke Skywalker once said. But it's not, and I think Dave Filoni is going to explain that in the Ahsoka show, and I think the World Between Worlds is going to be explored a lot in this Ahsoka show, and I think it could bring us cameos from Padme, could give us cameos from Anakin, could give us cameos from Rex, could give us cameos from Obi-Wan. Now, whether or not Rex is going to be in the Ahsoka show, a lot of people have been saying, well, Mike, do you think Rex is going to be in the Ahsoka show? There is so much going on in the Ahsoka show. An old-ass Rex being in the Ahsoka show would be awesome. But I don't think he's going to play a main part. I don't think he will even be in more than one scene if he is in it. So, Captain Rex, it's an interesting one. I don't know. It's one of the ones where I'm like, I hope he does, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't. We talked about last stream Jason Syndulla. I think he definitely will be in it, and I would be surprised if he's not in it. Rex, on the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't. You know? Anthony says, supposedly the kids in Skeleton Crew may encounter fractions of the remnant of the Empire in the Outer Rim, the Unknown Regions, and the New Beyond. Yeah, so I've heard the rumors that Skeleton Crew is going to take place, or some of the show is going to take place in the New Beyond. Now, there's always the question of if Jude Law's character is a Jedi who survived Order 66, like every other Jedi who survived Order 66, where has he been this entire time? Order 66 happens 19 years before Episode 4. The original trilogy is like 3-ish years, and then we're 5 years after that. So that's 8 years plus the 20-ish. So we're about 25 to 30 years. 25 to 30 years after Order 66. Where was Jude Law's character, Jude Law's Jedi character, that entire time? Where was he? And if it's the New Beyond, and that's where these kids run into him, that would make a lot of sense, and it would be able to explore this New Beyond a lot more. Explaining the New Beyond to casual fans is not going to be easy, and Dave Filoni has said many, many times, over and over and over again, that he wants people to be able to watch the Ahsoka show and not have to watch anything else for it to make sense. He says, you won't have to watch Rebels, you won't have to watch the Clone Wars, you won't even have to watch The Mandalorian for the Ahsoka show to make sense, which is smart. But at the same time, how are you going to explain the New Beyond, the World Between Worlds, Grand Admiral Thrawn, all these freaking characters from Rebels? Let's be honest, if he's trying to make it so that you can watch Ahsoka without having seen anything else, you don't know who Sabine is, you won't know who Hera Syndulla is, you won't even know who Ahsoka is, really, and you won't know who Thrawn is. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know how he's going to do it in only 8 episodes. That's why I think it's impossible to have filler episodes, but I also think it's going to be extremely difficult for him to explain the New Beyond, and maybe that's why the Skeleton Crew even exists, to further develop and explain the New Beyond. Because it's not the Unknown Regions. It's not. The Unknown Regions we see in the sequel trilogy, in The Rise of Skywalker. We see that the Unknown Regions, or parts of it, like Exegol, are hard to get to. She has to navigate using a Sith Wayfinder. So the Unknown Regions are hard to navigate. But the New Beyond is a new space. It's almost nearly impossible to get to as far as we know. The only way we do know as of right now is Purrgil. And we saw the Purrgil at the beginning of The Mandalorian Season 3. We saw the Purrgil take Thrawn and Ezra into the New Beyond at the end of Star Wars Rebels. But as of right now, that's the only way we know how to get to the New Beyond, which is kind of crazy. Anthony says, Captain Rex better be in the Ahsoka show. My hope is Dr. Pershing gives gene therapy treatments to select groups of old clones. Takes 20 years off their accelerated aging. Huh. That would be kind of cool. Yeah, because, Rex would be ancient by the time of the Ahsoka show, right? Because of his accelerating aging. He would be really, really old. But that doesn't mean that he can't be in it. Doesn't mean he can't be in it. And, of course, Tamara Morrison. Let's be real. He wants to be in Star Wars. We had that whole thing where he came out and talked about, like, how he wasn't in The Mandalorian Season 3 and how he should have been and stuff like that, and we all agreed with him. We were like, yes, Tamara Morrison, you are absolutely correct. You should have been in The Mandalorian Season 3. But I don't think that's the end for Tamara Morrison. I think he wants to play Boba. He wants to play clones for the rest of his life. So I could see him coming back to play Captain Rex. The only thing is, we've never seen Captain Rex in live action. What if he looks stupid? We know Tamara Morrison looking like Boba Fett. We know Tamara Morrison looking like Jango Fett and all the clones in the prequel trilogy, but we never see him as Rex. And Rex has like the blonde, white, like hair, and he has a specific look. So to pull that off into live action might be a little bit difficult. Might be a little bit difficult. Let's talk about. We'll stay on the topic of Ahsoka, but let's talk about Sabine. So this article, I think, is... Yeah, wait. Yeah, so this article right here... this is coming from... This is coming from an interview with Entertainment Weekly with Elizabeth. I mean, not Elizabeth. What's her face? The girl who's playing Sabine, I think. All right, let's read it. Let's read it up. Here we go. Here we go. Disney Plus's Ahsoka actor teases Ezra Bridger's mission in live-action show. So we kind of got a tease at this in Rebels when at the end in the epilogue, Sabine's talking to us and says, Ezra was supposed to keep us on a mission or whatever. Like Sabine tells Ezra to like watch over. What does Ezra tell Sabine to do? Somebody tell me in the chat. I'm completely blanking. He says something specific. He's like, watch over something or something along those lines. So, Sabine thinks she's on a mission for Ezra, and then she realizes that the mission is something else. So this is what they're kind of talking about in this article. Honey Badger, what's up? Says, sorry I'm late. I just got out of Guardians 3. Okay, without spoiling it, how was Guardians 3? Because I'm seeing it tomorrow. How was Guardians 3? My eyeballs are itchy. Okay. Let's get into this article. And then we'll look at Honey Badger's thing. All right. Oh, wait, you guys can't see that. You guys can't see. What the heck? There we go. An actress from the upcoming Star Wars Disney Plus series, Ahsoka, teases her upcoming missions involving Ezra Bridger. Ezra Bridger is one of my favorite characters, by the way, so if I get really excited about Ezra Bridger, that's why. Even after Iman Esfandi, who's playing Ezra Bridger in live action, was reported to be cast as the young Jedi in Rosario Dawson's upcoming show, Disney avoided confirming how the character would be showing up. It wasn't until the first official teaser trailer that Ezra could actually be seen, albeit it was briefly in a hologram during being viewed by Sabine Wren. As for what he's up to in the show, that remains a mystery. Odds are it'll likely be directly related to whatever Lars Mikkelsen's Thrawn is up to as well, because of course they disappeared together. So this is the scene from the trailer where Sabine is looking at the hologram of Ezra. So Sabine's mission with Ezra Bridger. This is very, very interesting. Well, speaking with Entertainment Weekly's Dagobah Dispatch podcast, I've never heard of that. That's actually a pretty funny name for a podcast. Ahsoka star Natasha Liu Bordizzo, who's playing Sabine Wren, who will play as Sabine Wren, spoke about her character's Ezra Bridger focused mission. Bordizzo noted that since Star Wars Rebels, Sabine has only been thinking about the obligation she has towards her friend, a mission audiences will likely see play out in the incoming August. So this is what she says. She's talking about Sabine, of course. She's been through a lot, and she's still a stubborn cookie. I love that. But I think that you find her at the end of Rebels. She was a huge part of the liberation of Lothal, and many regard her as a hero. But she does not feel that way about herself. She only thinks about the obligations she has towards her friend. So she's got that mission in mind, not her hero status. And she's got a huge journey to go on with Ahsoka. So we find her at the start of that, which is very, very interesting because we don't know much about the plot of the Ahsoka show. We know the rumors, the World Between Worlds stuff, the New Beyond stuff, but she is saying, this is all confirmed stuff from Natasha Liu Bordizzo, who's playing Sabine herself, that's where we find Sabine, and that's where we start with Sabine. We find her and start with her when they're going on an adventure together, her and Ahsoka, to probably go find Ezra, as we can assume. But let's keep going. While speaking with Screen Rant at Star Wars Celebration earlier this year, the actress teased that Sabine has been through a lot. And the journey of her character goes on, her character goes on will be even deeper than the one she went on in Rebels. Now that's crazy because the journey she went on in Rebels was insanely deep. She went on from being just a bounty hunter type character at the beginning to the one who created this rebel killing machine that killed her own people, killed Mandalorians, her own people. She was a Mandalorian. She went back to Mandalore with the Darksaber, helped reclaim Mandalore, all this other stuff. She went on a crazy journey. So even deeper than that is saying something. I mean, Sabine is one of the coolest characters in Star Wars Rebels. So going even deeper than the story arc that we got over 4 seasons, it's going to be great. So here's what she says. She's been through a lot, and I think that with this series, she really needs to face herself. She needs to face her own demons. She needs to face her internal struggles in order to get to the place she needs to go. So she's changed a lot, and I think that the journey that people are going to see is even deeper than the journey that she was on in Rebels, which is bonkers. Sabine's a very, very cool character, and I know Honey Badger, I'm sure, will tell you she's gonna be awesome in this show. So I just have such high hopes. The whole Rebels cast is so freaking good. All right, calm down. So, how Star Wars Rebels story will continue in Disney Plus. The involvement of both Ezra Bridger and Thrawn make it clear to the audience that Ahsoka will be direct continuation of the plot threads left dangling after Star Wars Rebels finished its run, which may excite many fans. I am one of the many fans that it gets really exciting. Previous rumors indicate that Ezra and Thrawn could lead Sabine and Ahsoka to explore the entire new era of the galaxy. New area, I'm guessing you meant? New area of the galaxy. The trailer also confirms that Harrison Dula will be joining the fun, with Mary Elizabeth Winstead bringing her to life. It turns out the older iteration of the hero will be something of a legend of her own amongst the rebels, because she's the GOAT pilot. But what are the odds that Zeb Aurelius will tag along at some point? One would have to think Lucasfilm gave him a brief cameo in The Mandalorian for some reason. I don't doubt in my mind that Dave Filoni, literally zero doubt in my mind, that Dave Filoni is going to do anything he possibly can to get the whole entire Ghost crew back together on the Ghost. A huge thing, I mean, the sequels missed a ton of things. A huge thing that the sequels missed out on was having the original cast, Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, and C-3PO even, in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. Missed out big time. It would kind of be the same vibes if you had the original Ghost crew in the cockpit of the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels. Of course, not Kanan, but you have maybe Jason Syndulla can take his place. Jason Syndulla, Hera Syndulla, Ezra Bridger, Zeb, and Sabine. Those 5, and Chopper, of course. All in the cockpit of the Ghost together. That would be insane. It would be so cool. It would be absolutely amazing. It would be awesome. All right, let's see what Honey Badger thought about Guardians 3. Honey Badger says, 10 out of 10. Kicks Thor, Love and Thunder, and Multiverse of Madness's ass. Well, that's hard to do. You just gave me 2 completely different movies. Multiverse of Madness is like top tier, and Thor, Love and Thunder is like one of the worst MCU movies ever. So that's kind of a far stretch. Best Marvel anything since No Way Home and the original Avengers movie. What about Infinity War and Endgame? Guardians is hands down the best trilogy in Marvel. I've been hearing that a lot. And I actually had a conversation with somebody about that yesterday, or actually, yeah, it might have been today, actually, even. What is the best trilogy? Now, I haven't seen Guardians 3 yet, so I can't say. But when you think about Iron Man, Captain America, I know it's a Star Wars stream. We'll get back to it in 1 second. But, you know, Marvel fans, what's your favorite trilogy in the MCU? You got Iron Man, you got Thor, you got Captain America, you got Spider-Man, you got Guardians. I haven't seen Guardians 3 yet, but I say it's Spider-Man all the way. Homecoming is a great start. Far From Home is so freaking underrated. And of course, No Way Home is goated. But yeah, that I haven't seen Guardians 3 yet, so it remains to be seen. Remains to be seen, but 10 out of 10 is a high praise from the Badger. So I'm looking forward to it. He says, the story and the action was absolutely insane. Yeah, true. I really hope so. Honey Badger says, Sabine is awesome. Sabine's going to be kick-ass. Bring on that Sabine. I can't wait for Sabine. I can't wait for all the Rebels cast to be in live action. The Ahsoka show is going to blow freaking minds. It's going to blow all your minds. All your minds are going to be blown. Okay? And we're going to do live watch parties. We're going to do it all here. So smash a gosh darn like and a subscribe on the channel. Jeez. What are you waiting for? Okay. Okay, let's get into this. Hang on one second. Here we go. You ready for this one? The Ubisoft Star Wars video game. So a lot of people were like, well, what's next with Star Wars video games? Wow, we're going to have to zoom in on that. That's tiny ass handwriting. Or not even handwriting. Okay. What about Star Wars video games? So Star Wars Jedi Survivor was absolutely amazing. If you haven't played Jedi Survivor, you've lost your mind. Click away from this video, go download it immediately and play it now. It is the best video game I've ever played in my life. The best story that we've gotten from Disney Star Wars, period. End of sentence. And it is just that good. So go play it immediately. But many people were like, what's next for Star Wars video games? What's next for the video games from Star Wars? Because, and if, tell me if you remember this. Tell me if any of you guys in the chat remember this. I think it was like 6 months ago, something along those lines. We were talking about how there was rumors that we were going to be getting a Star Wars video game every 6 months. Like for the next couple years. Now that seemed very far-fetched. 6 months for a video game, that's a stretch. That's a stretch to say the least. But now, I mean, it's not 6 months, it's at least a year. But this Ubisoft open world Star Wars game is now being rumored to be released in 2024. Now that is a year away from Jedi Survivor. And Jedi Survivor was about a year away from Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga. So maybe it's every year we get a Star Wars game, but I'm perfectly okay with that because for years we didn't get any Star Wars games. And I'm still honestly waiting for Battlefront 3, but that's just me. It's just me. That's just me. Honey Badger says, it's better than Infinity War, but that's what I meant when I said the original Avengers movies. The best Marvel movie since Endgame and No Way Home, and it's better than Multiverse of Madness. There's no way it's better than Infinity War. Infinity War is the best Marvel movie. It could be better than Multiverse of Madness, though. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. All right, let's read this thing. All right, here we go. I'm going to zoom in even more. My eyes, they are hurting me today. It's just very bright, you know? It's like, just make it a darker color. Jeez. Ubisoft open world Star Wars game could launch in 2024, which is insane. Absolutely insane. An open world Star Wars game could be coming as soon as next year. Okay? Ubisoft Star Wars game from the studio that made The Division. I'm going to zoom in even more, guys. My eyes are like failing me today. Here we go. Did that even make it bigger or did it just... Oh, okay. No, that's too close. I think you guys can't see it. That's good. Fine. Fine. We'll keep it there. Fine. Ubisoft Star Wars game is reportedly in development. Wait, did we just skip something? Oh yeah, we just skipped like 3 paragraphs. Ubisoft's Star Wars game from the studio that made The Division is potentially going to be released as soon as 2024. As a new report suggests. According to the unnamed sources speaking with... I'm not even going to try. The Star Wars title is unspecified large game that Ubisoft recently disclosed will be releasing during the company's current physical year that ends March 31st of 2024. So that means it will come out before March 31st of next year, which is insane. It is one of several games set to release during that period, the others being Assassin's Creed Mirage. Anybody play the Assassin's Creed games anymore? I played like the first 2 when I was younger, but there's just too many of them now at this point. Assassin's Creed Mirage, Avatar Frontier of Pandora. They're making an Avatar game? I did not know that. Rainbow Six mobile Rainbow Six. Rainbow Six is a great game. Skull and Bones and the Crew Motorfest, The Division. Oh wait, they're making another Division? Resurgence and X Defiant. Jeez, is Ubisoft making all of those games? That's a shit ton of games. Jesus. Okay. And along with that, they're making a Star Wars game, open world. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Ubisoft's Star Wars game is reportedly in development under the codename Project Helix. Usually project names have like a hint towards what the game's going to be about, but that doesn't really give me anything. So Julian, not even gonna try. The director on the Division and the Division 2 is the creative director on this project. According to, not even gonna try, Ubisoft's open world Star Wars game will feature some form of interplanetary space travel. Wow. So it's multi-planets. It's like multi-planetary game with open world. This is gonna be wild. So some form of interplanetary space travel, and that hopes are high internally that it could become Ubisoft's first non-Assassin's Creed hit game in a while. I thought the Division games did pretty well. No, I don't know. I just played them, I guess. The same source said a release during the current fiscal year is possibly too ambitious. Yeah. So that's the thing. This is just a rumor that it could be coming out this but before March 31st. It will be very, very tough to see them do that. I mean, let's be honest, that is no short period of time, or it is a very short period of time, I should say, to make a Star Wars video game, especially one on the scale and size that they're talking about here. So that it could launch past that March 31st. A spokesperson from Ubisoft told GameStop, we don't comment on rumors or speculation. Ubisoft has faced some tough financial times as of late, which is kind of strange that they're making the next Star Wars game, but whatever. The company recently announced that they're trying to find $200 million in cost savings over the next couple of years throughout canceling games and layoffs amongst their initiative. $200 million of cost is what they're trying to find? That's crazy. Okay. Ubisoft presumably has plenty of games in the works that could be considered large. So if it's not Star Wars, it could be something else. In any event, Ubisoft management said on an earnings call that it will have more news to share about the upcoming release slate during Ubisoft's Forward in June. So in June, we'll probably hear more about this game and what's going on with it, because Star Wars video games, honestly, they're a huge part of the storytelling. Cal Kestis is one of the coolest Star Wars characters there is now, and that's just because of 2 video games that he was in. Like, we've never even seen this character in live action or in animation. He's in a video game. It's kind of crazy. Like, a lot of very, very good characters, very fan-favorite characters, even from Legends, are from video games. Look at Starkiller. Starkiller's from The Force Unleashed. Video game. Video games are no tiny detail when it comes to the Star Wars galaxy. So it's going to be very interesting. They just go on to talk about nonsense things in that article, so we aren't going to read the rest. But it is very interesting to see that we could be getting that Ubisoft open world Star Wars game next year, as soon as next year, which is very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. Honey Badger says, I hope this Star Wars game is actually open world instead of Jedi Survivor's open world planets. Even though it was awesome, I wish we could have explored the temple as rumored. Yeah, it wasn't as open world as I thought it was going to be, but you could still explore a shit ton in that Survivor game. I didn't even explore 50% of half the planets that there were. So an open world game would probably entail more of like a GTA vibe where you can go around and do certain missions. You can probably go on a story. It'll be a lot like Jedi Survivor, but it will be more open world, and maybe it will be canon characters as well. Like you could go around as Luke or something like that. I hope it's really cool. We really don't know much about it. Maybe if the Eclipse game that we had no idea... Maybe if the Eclipse game that we have no idea what happened to, we'll tap into that more. Well, the Eclipse game, I think, is going to take place solely on one planet. I think it's like the eclipse on that planet causes this one thing to happen or something along those lines. I have no idea. That game is still so far away, I'm guessing. But yeah, no, Eclipse looked amazing. I mean, that trailer for Star Wars Eclipse is wild. But yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. Anthony says, Badger, I was under the impression that Star Wars Eclipse would also be open world. Yeah, I think it's going to be open world, but just like that one world. I guess that's kind of what I got when I watched that trailer. It was just a one world with this gigantic army. I don't even know. I honestly don't know. That game looked so cool, and then we haven't heard anything about it since. It is kind of a bummer that, like, at Star Wars Celebration, they don't really talk about the video games and the progress of the video games. Like, we got, of course, trailers for Jedi Survivor, but that's because it came out the next week. Like, we'd never get updates about any other Star Wars video game. Dun dun! Badger completely off topic, but the Lakers got swept. Sorry, I had to say it. Okay. Okay, so yeah, no, when you talk about Star Wars video games, you have the third Jedi game, you have this Ubisoft open world game, you have Star Wars Eclipse, and please God give me a Battlefront 3. But that's a bunch of games you got there already, so it would be nice. Honey Badger says, Star Wars games regardless will always be a W. I want a Jedi 3. Yeah, no, I really do, too. Couldn't even finish that sentence. That hurt. Good Cubs follow orders. He's just, like, not even top 5. Okay, let's see. What else we got for news here? So I saw this the other day. Hang on. Actually, let's see where that poll ended, because I did a poll on the channel, right? We talked about this a little bit on... Whoa. We talked about this a little bit on Saturday, and it was like, will we see Jason Syndulla, right? By the way, we're about to hit, or we're getting close to at least 1,700 subscribers on the channel, which is bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Insane. You guys are the absolute best. All your support is fantastic. This is actually pretty funny. Let's look at this poll. This is pretty funny. Let's see. Let me respond to Honey Badger first. Celtics are about to join us in Cancun. We can all party there together. Yeah, no. Celtics are forcing game 5, forcing game 6, and winning in 7. You gotta hope until the end, Pat. You gotta hope until the end, okay? Anthony says, Mike, Guy, it takes place during the High Republic, involving a galactic conflict between the Trade Federation and a brand new army, along with the species performing a ritual. So then why is it called eclipse? I thought it was just like that one planet that has an eclipse, which is, of course, just the moon blocking the sun, which is an eclipse. So it would be only on one planet, not all planets. Yeah, I know it's supposed to take place in the High Republic, but I didn't know it was actually going to be an entire galactic like event. That is pretty cool, Anthony. That would be sick. But let's look at this poll. So this poll we did on a few days ago. It's got 82 votes. Not that many votes, but that's because nobody knows about this character, honestly. And you'll see by just the numbers on the poll here. So yeah, let's look at this. Okay. So the poll was: do you think that Jason Syndulla will be in the Ahsoka show? The responses were yes, no, and who is Jason Syndulla? And it's kind of funny that 22% of people said, who is Jason Syndulla? Now, I know Rebels didn't really get a lot of viewers. A lot of people say Rebels was just a kid show. They didn't like the animation, blah, 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 blah. Rebels is the most underrated content in Star Wars history. It might not be the best content in Star Wars history, but it is the most underrated content in Star Wars history. It is so freaking good, and everybody underrates it. The only problem is 22% of course, still a small chunk of people, but 22% of these people don't know who Jason Syndulla is, which is problematic going into the Ahsoka show, to say the least. So, but still, most people do think, 61% do think that he will be in the Ahsoka show, which is very, very good. It is promising. It is promising, even though 22% of them don't even know who he is. I just thought that was funny. I think this might have to be on a shorter time of stream. I mean, we don't really have that much news going on right now. There's some Andor news, but it's not cool at all. We went over the Natalie Portman. We went over the Ubisoft. We went over Ray Stevenson dying. Should we wait? Should we read this article about Ray Stevenson? We'll start and end the stream on some Ray Stevenson. Rest in peace. Can I get some RIPs in the chat, please? So, yeah, let's see. So, of course, we talked about this at the beginning of the stream. Really sucks. It really sucks. He was a great guy, as from what everybody's been saying. He's the nicest guy. He was huge around the Hollywood. He had a huge following. Of course, he was in almost everything. He was in Divergent. He was in the MCU. He was in G.I. Joe. He was in the Vikings show. He was in Dexter. He was in, of course, Star Wars. He was Gar Saxon. He voiced Gar Saxon in Rebels, so and in the Clone Wars. So he's been around for a while, and he's big, and it's a big loss for the Star Wars community. So let's read this. Marvel actor, and that's just a bummer right there. He's not a Marvel actor. He's an actor. And he's probably most known for, and will be most known for being in Star Wars after his performance as Balin. It will be. So, Marvel and Star Wars actor Ray Stevenson tragically passes away on Sunday, May 21st, 2023. So this is him in Thor. He was in 3 movies of Thor. The first one, the second one, Thor the Dark World. I couldn't think of the name. And Thor Ragnarok. So, Variety confirms that Stevenson's publicists that the Irish star died on Sunday at only age 58, although no cause of death was given. So we still don't know what he died from. Of course, it was probably something drastic. Maybe we don't want to speculate or anything, but probably was not something that they knew about going in. Like, they didn't plan that this was going to be his last performance in the Ahsoka show. But again, that just makes the Ahsoka show, like, his performance is going to be amazing. We already know that. But his performance is going to be so much more meaningful after what we've seen here. You know? Italian website not even gonna try. First reported on Stevenson's death, noting that he has been hospitalized on an island. So again, we don't really know what was going on. But Stevenson was well known amongst comic book fans for his supporting role in the MCU as Volstagg. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's Volstagg. In all 3 movies from the Thor trilogy. Not Thor Love and Thunder. He dies to Hela in Ragnarok. As well as playing the titular Punisher in 2008's Punisher Warzone. I never saw that, but he played the Punisher, which is kind of crazy. He also played a villainous role in Star Wars. Will also play a villainous role as Balin Skoll. Previously voiced Gar Saxon in 2 episodes of Star Wars Rebels and 2 episodes of the Clone Wars. So he's been around Star Wars for a long, long time. Outside of his place as the sci-fi comic book franchise mainstay in Marvel and Star Wars, Stevenson built an impressive career over the last 30 years. He played key roles in other action stories like the Divergent movies and G.I. Joe, while also becoming well known for his roles in major TV shows such as Dexter and Vikings. I have not seen either of these shows, but I've heard really good things about them. The Scottish star even had a place when he hit 2022's Indian movie RRR, which won an Academy Award for Best Original Song. The direct sends the deepest condolences out to his friends and family, of course. So yeah, of course he was an enormous actor. We don't know what happened, but he will still be in the Ahsoka show. They're not canceling it. They're not doing anything. They're going to honor him, of course, with the role of Balin. I think he was going to have a huge role, of course. And it was going to be, we've seen him in the trailer. We know he's going to be a dark Jedi, a Jedi who turned to the dark side from Order 66. He's got the cool new lightsaber that kind of looks like a sword. He's got the apprentice named Shin. It's going to be spectacular. It really, really sucks that he had to go so soon. And of course, it just sucks. But I think that the Ahsoka show and his performance in the Ahsoka show is going to make Star Wars fans really, really get together to like appreciate him and appreciate the Ahsoka show in general, but appreciate Star Wars and appreciate the actors that we have more, because you never know. You never know. It always is the worst when you lose an actor like this. Like you think back to Chadwick Boseman, who played Black Panther, and you think that what had to happen to make Black Panther Wakanda forever and all these other things. Like we don't know if Balin was killed off in the Ahsoka show until we see it. So maybe he doesn't, and he's supposed to be a returning character, and then they have to change things because of that. So it is really, really a bummer. Anthony says, Ray Stevenson, a.k.a. Balin Skoll, R.I.P. May the Force be with you. Gone, but definitely never forgotten. Exactly, and he won't be forgotten for a long, long time because of all of his performances in all these shows and movies. And again, he still has one big, big performance coming up at the end of this summer. I loved him as Volstagg. Yeah, he was great. I mean, the Thor movies are underrated, the first couple. They're not as good as some other MCU movies, but him and those other supporting characters around Thor are the best pieces, for being honest. But do we have any other Star Wars news going on? We talked about Ray Stevenson. We talked about Natalie Portman. We talked about the Ubisoft game. We talked about... Is there anything else going on right now? Let's see. I don't think there... Wait. Let's see what this is. Huh, this is kind of fascinating. Let's read this. Fascinating. All right, let's see. This says, 43 years later, Star Wars finally explains the glaring canon mistake. What do you think the glaring canon mistake is from 43 years ago? Predictions. Anybody? Let's see who can guess it. I doubt anybody can, but we'll see. Honey Badger says Dark World and L-A-T sucked. L-A-T. Love and Thunder. But most definitely it was he was great in Thor. I didn't even know that was him until today. But I did know him as Gar Saxon. Han shot first? I don't think so. We are talking about something else, I believe. Here we go. Let's read it. Where's my mouse? There we go. Star Wars. Is that big enough? Let's try one more time. Let's go one more. Is that good? That's better. Okay. Star Wars is a classic example of the sci-fi franchise mixing average names with fantastical ones. Okay. Luke Skywalker whining about going to Tosche Station to pick up some power converters is the perfect mundane series of words. But then you follow it with a name like Cobb Vanth declaring, every once in a while, both suns shine on a womp rat's tail, seeing how the strange environment of Star Wars affects how people talk is part of the fun. But sometimes dialogue sticks out as unusual for Star Wars' faraway galaxy, like when Han Solo says, "I'll see you in hell." Okay? In Empire Strikes Back. Sure, many religions and civilizations have their versions of hell, but it still sounds like something a hero on Earth would say. Luckily, a Lucasfilm lore advisor has an explanation. So, we've heard hell in Star Wars, we've heard shit in Star Wars, but hell doesn't really make sense because it's a earthbound thing. It's a religion thing, but it's an earthbound religion thing. But let's be honest, Han Solo is Indiana Jones, so, you know. Lucasfilm creative consultant Pablo Hidalgo. Boo. Boo. Can we boo Pablo Hidalgo in the chat, please? Thank you. Is the keeper of the official Star Wars lore. Bummer. To give you an example of how big of a nerd you need to be to hold that job, he used his official Star Wars account to lament that he couldn't create a canonized a character named Darth Pyrrhus to allow them to use the term Pyrrhic. Is that how you say that? Pyrrhic victory in Star Wars. So he uses his Twitter account for a lot of things, to crap on Star Wars fans, to ruin kids' hopes and dreams. He's the worst. But this is what he says. The urge to create and canonize a Darth Pyrrhus is that how you say it? Pyrrhus? It does seem like... Wait, what the heck? This is not good. There we go. It just doesn't seem... Why do I keep clicking on it? There we go. We'll go right past it then. Hidalgo mentions other instances of our language leaching into Star Wars language, like dime a dozen being used in the Clone Wars, or Saturday and Sunday being referred to in comics and novels. Meanwhile, the Mandalorian reminds fans that days of the week have different names over in the Star Wars galaxy. Who can forget the iconic Season 3 line? Wait, what is that actually? Tongs Days? Am I right? Who said that in Season 3? Who said that in Season 3? Tongs Days. Oh, I think it was the spy girl on Coruscant. What was her name? What was her name? I didn't even think of that. When do they say Saturday and Sunday? In the comics and novels. Oh, okay. Sci-fi often immerses you into the fictional world by giving new names to simple terms. Hidalgo cites the old expanded universe novels calling hospitals med centers, but Hidalgo also notes that George Lucas made his own rules, so in Attack of the Clones, character says, that depends on how big your pocket is. Of course, we know who that is. Instead of referencing, saying a credits holder spending enough time consuming Star Wars media, and you'll notice inconsistencies. Yeah, so this is what he's talking about. Dr. Pershing. Yeah, no, but he doesn't say it. Oh, he says it? I thought it was her. Elia Kane. I thought it was her. Hidalgo offers a simple, cheeky explanation for these discrepancies. We can understand Star Wars because it's been translated from Galactic Basic to our benefit, and sometimes that translation contains errors and simplifications. So what he's saying is this is all being translated to us, and that's why it is all different. Yeah, no, that's a whole lot of hoopla. Of course, that just raises more questions. Who is recording all of this? How did they get from the Star Wars galaxy to ours? But Hidalgo's real argument is that you just have to roll with the discrepancies, because dialogue that sounds right for the moment will usually win out over words that are technically accurate but sound stilted. After all, as Hidalgo points out, no one complains about Uncle Owen saying there'll be hell to pay back in A New Hope. Well, they just talked about how people are upset that Han says, I'll see you in hell. But, okay. Like all good fan theories, these explain away a few meta elements that can be dragged out of the immersion of the sci-fi world. And if it helps Star Wars' own lore masters sleep at night, then it's good enough for us. Well, you know what, Pablo Hidalgo? It's not good enough for me. You should be fired. I was going to say something really mean, but I'm going to keep it clean. We hate Pablo Hidalgo. Yeah. Honey Badger says, you lost me at Pablo Hidalgo. Pablo Hisaco's. Boo. Eli Kane, yeah. Swagger like us, what's up? Awesome stream. Sorry, I just got home from the job. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Swagger. No problem at all. Glad you could stop on in. We are going to get on out of here fairly soon, though, because we're almost out of news. And the Celtics play, so... But no, yeah, we've covered everything, I think. I mean, is there anything else going on? What do you guys want to talk about? Is there anything, any other news going on right now? Anything else going on right now? Jonathan Welch, what's up, Jonathan? How you doing? It's been a while. The Padme thing, and I know a lot of you weren't here for it, so we'll go back to it. The Padme thing is very, very cool. So we'll recap briefly. Padme Amidala could come back. Now I know it sounds crazy. She's dead. She's not a Force ghost or anything. But flashbacks. You have flashbacks. You have World Between Worlds. And you have an actress in Natalie Portman who just said in an interview that she wants to come back. Should we watch that interview? Let's do it. Let's see. Let me find it. 1 second. Right here. I got it. It was with GQ. It's on YouTube.
From the second
Whoa.
when I took one of
That was loud. Okay. Talk more about Ahsoka. I'm so excited for that show. Rumored 60-minute episodes. Yeah, I don't know how true that rumor is now. I mean, it's still just a rumor, so it could be true. And I do think Dave Filoni's going to make the episodes longer. But I don't know if all of them are going to be 60 minutes, you know? Swagger like that says, losing Ray Stevenson, man, that hurts. Yeah, we talked about it for a while. It sucks. I bet we'll see Padme in Ahsoka, especially if Ahsoka fights Anakin in the World Between Worlds on Mustafar. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Padme's on Mustafar. And if Ahsoka's trying to really turn Anakin, she's going to have Padme help her out, because Padme and Ahsoka are friends in the Clone Wars. They're friends in the Clone Wars. And Ahsoka knows that they're married, or she knows that they're together, so she will help, or have Padme help her try to get Anakin to stay on the light side. But let's watch some of this. Why not? This is Natalie Portman in like an interview type thing on YouTube, talking about her time, or she's replying to fans on the internet. That's what she's doing. But she talks about Star Wars. Well, this is a bad angle. We'll go like that. So she's talking about how in the second one, she stole Anakin's braids.
From the second one, I took one of Anakin's braids. He had that little like braid hanging down. Then I lost it, you know.
She lost it? Has she lost her mind? Somebody go find that immediately. Somebody go find it now.
So that's not very helpful. Hey there, GQ. I'm Natalie Portman, and
all right, we're just gonna fast forward to the ones that are Star Wars related. Thor, nope. Oh wait, there's a lot of. Oh wait, this is the same one. Oh, she's responding to them? That's pretty funny.
Hopkins, but wearing his wig and costume and saying his line. Process of that too. I thought it was so cool to have Kenneth Branagh doing a Marvel movie, treat it with that kind of, it always seemed like an inspired choice.
Where is the Star Wars?
Did No Strings Attached with Natalie Portman the same year Mila Kunis did Friends with Benefits with Justin Timberlake by Ed Yong. That was my last great one I read. I also love Gathering Moss by Him, and I think that's such an amazing model for women, where we've so often been socialized to be pitted against. What you want about the prequels, but the costume design was amazing. It was amazing. This one is pretty incredible. It's got such like kind of Japanese
George is a genius.
From the second one, I took one of Anakin's braids. He had that little like braid hanging down. Then I lost it, you know, so that's not very helpful. Any chance that Padme Natalie Portman returns to Star Wars,
here we go.
Her
this
character really deserves it with the way she was treated in Revenge of the Sith and overall importance for the OT story. I have no information on this. No one's ever asked me to return, but I'm open to it.
Liar! I don't believe her for 1 second. I literally don't believe her for 1 second. Look at her face.
No information.
Look at that smile. She's trying to hide a smile so hard right here.
For the OT story. I have no information on this.
Liar. Liar.
And overall importance for the OT story. I have no information on.
See that smile right there?
I have no.
Right there. She's hiding that smile. She either all right, here's the thing. We know actors lie all the time. We know they can't say that they're going to be in it because then it would spoil it forever for everybody. And we've seen this before with Lars Mikkelsen, who literally a week before Star Wars Celebration, was saying, I'm not in it. They didn't call me, blah, blah, blah. I'm not Thrawn. A week later, he's brought onto stage as Thrawn in live action. They do it all the time. Obviously, they don't want to ruin the surprise that they're going to lie to us. But we can't believe anything they say at this point. We can't believe anything they say. And what she does say is they haven't called me yet, but I'm open to it. She says, I'm open to it. She literally says,
information on this. No one's ever asked me to return, but I'm open to it.
But I'm open to it. And they literally zoom in on it.
No one's ever asked me to return, but I'm open to it.
I'm open to it. She's open to it. That's insane. The fact that she's open to it and nobody at Lucasfilms ever asked her is the biggest disgrace. It's Disney at its stupidity, at its peak. It's so dumb. And Kathleen Kennedy deserves to be fired just over this one plain thing. Just kidding. She deserves to be fired for the insane amount of stupidity that she has. But I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think that this is like, do you think we could ever actually see Padme again? And here's the scenario. It would be in the Ahsoka show, through the World Between Worlds, and Ahsoka would have Padme. It would just be a brief scene, maybe a few scenes. It wouldn't be like she's back. It would just be a small cameo. It would be like Liam Neeson coming back to play Qui-Gon, like I mentioned earlier in the stream. He played Qui-Gon one time in 1999, 24 years ago. And then he came back to play Qui-Gon as a Force Ghost. Why can't they do that with Padme? She played Padme for 6 years. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do we think? John Welch says, no. Honey Badger says, but question. What if Ahsoka can save Anakin because he'll listen to her instead of Obi-Wan? Well, that's the thing. Obi-Wan kind of just smuggles his way onto Padme's ship and just shows up. And at the bad time. And that's what causes Anakin to go, liar, and choke out Padme, and this whole thing happens. If Padme and Ahsoka come as a united front, his wife and his Padawan, the two people he's closest to and trusts the most, come to him as a united front and say, look, Anakin, blah, 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 and actually get him to turn, and we get goods or light side Anakin killing Palpatine or something like that. It's like a real life what if. And then Ahsoka comes back to reality and figures out that actually didn't happen. That would be sick, but yeah, no, it would be so much different if it was Ahsoka instead of Obi-Wan. But what will happen if she saves him from fully turning? A new timeline like the Flash movie is giving us? No, it wouldn't. Star Wars is always going to be one timeline. It's going to be one specific timeline. It's not going to go multiverse. It's not going to go the Flash movie. It's not going to do any of that. Star Wars is always just going to be one timeline as it should be. We don't want the multiverse. We don't want any of that crazy stuff. We just want the one timeline. Like, there's so much you can do past the sequel trilogy, before the Phantom Menace. There's thousands upon thousands of years of untapped materials that you could go on making Star Wars content forever. You don't need to go into a multiverse. You don't need to go into different timelines. You don't have to do any of that to keep the story going. You don't. Honey Badger says, yes, okay, Miss Andrew Garfield. She's the werewolf. What? Yeah, Andrew Garfield was one of the worst. He was literally caught in 4K, and he's like, that wasn't me. Swagger I guess says, I saw all the prequels opening day. Natalie Portman's contribution was one of the highlights. Personally, epic. Yeah, no, she's amazing in the prequel trilogy. I wasn't even born when the first one came out, so I was not at the premiere of all the prequel movies. But actually, speaking of being born, my birthday is a week from today, ladies and gentlemen, and we will have a stream at 6 p.m. Don't be late. Be on time. Birthday celebration stream. Star Wars it out. Hanging out with the community on my birthday. 6 p.m. Be there or be a rectangle. Yeah. Just thought I'd say that. Okay. John Welch says, well, hopefully we'll see her at some point because if they don't, then Disney or whatever is stupid. Yeah, they are stupid. We know this. They're stupid. They're dumb. They're dumb. They're stupid. They're stupid. And they're dumb. But how stupid can they really be? Honestly, they already... Well, that's the thing, too. You had the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which was the perfect time to bring back Padme. Like, she wasn't even mentioned in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Obi-Wan was not like, when they were fighting in the rematch of the century, he was not like, what would Padme think, or anything of that sort. Padme was not even brought up, which is kind of a letdown. But because of just how big Padme is to the story of Vader. Like I said, the Vader immortal thing, you're still trying to get Padme back from the dead. Because she's that important to Anakin and to Darth Vader. So, yeah, no, I do really hope that Disney gets their head out of their ass and really listens to this one. Because that would just be a big, big mistake if you missed out on Natalie Portman wanting to come back and not bringing her back. You had the reunion. You had the prequels reunion with Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, like all of these cast members. Even Tamara Morrison has a scene in that show. And you didn't think to invite Natalie Portman. You didn't think to invite Padme Amidala. Stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Honey Badger says, but isn't that technically what Ezra did to save Ahsoka from Vader? Sort of. So what is the stipulations if... What would the stipulations be if she were to save Anakin? Would it alter the timeline or cause a new one to be created? So here's the thing. Here is the gist. Ahsoka, here's the biggest difference in why Ahsoka could have been saved and was saved and always was saved. Ahsoka is presumably dead after that fight versus Vader in Rebels. Presumably dead. You never see her again, but that doesn't mean she's dead. You see Vader come out of that alive, but you don't see Ahsoka. So the entire time, it's not like 2 years go past and then Ezra shows up and saves Ahsoka. When that battle's going on, Ezra comes in and saves Ahsoka. Like, that happens at the same time. She just gets pulled out of that time and put into this other time. The only difference is we see Anakin, of course, after that battle during Revenge of the Sith. Let's put it this way. I'm trying to phrase it like it makes sense in my head. I'm just trying to phrase it correctly. So Ahsoka's never seen after that fight. We don't know if she lives or she dies. We presume that she's dead, but in actuality, the entire time she's pulled by Ezra. Like, that happens every single time. She's pulled by Ezra at that time. Anakin, on the other hand, and it's going to be interesting to see how Ahsoka can even enter a timeline or enter that time period, because Anakin, on the other hand, we see him after he becomes Vader. Now, I believe that Ahsoka going into the world between worlds and trying to fix things or trying to change things is not going to work. Maybe she does that, but then when she comes back to reality, she realizes that that was just a vision, or that was just, like, it didn't actually happen. The whole Ahsoka being saved always happened, always will happen, and it happened every time. Anakin turning to the dark side always happened, always will happen, and happens every time. There is no other timeline. There is no other Ahsoka doesn't get saved by Ezra. There is no Vader actually kills Ahsoka at that point right there. That doesn't happen. Ahsoka always gets pulled into the world between worlds. Just like Vader or Anakin always falls to the dark side. Just like Thrawn and Ezra always go to the New Beyond. Just like Padme always dies giving birth to Luke and Leia. Just like Obi-Wan always beats Anakin, chops off his legs, and leaves him there to die. It always happens like that because that's how the destiny works. That is how they fulfill their destiny. So the only reason that Ahsoka works, the only reason that Ahsoka could have been saved by the world between worlds is because you never see her die. You never see her die. You think she dies, but you never actually see it, which led Dave Filoni to be like, I can bring her back. I can bring her back, no problem. You know? So it was kind of just a loophole for Dave to bring back Ahsoka because Ahsoka's his favorite character. But it was also a cool way to peer into the past. The World Between Worlds is a gateway between the living and the dead, like Palpatine says. It's a gateway between the living and the dead. It is how in the novelization of Rise of Skywalker, when Rey is one with all of the Jedi, and I know I'm talking about sequels, when Rey is one with all the Jedi, it is described like she's peering into a portal, like the world between worlds. And that's when she hears all the voices. It is a gateway between the living and the dead. All the Force ghosts, and not even Force ghosts, Jedi who have become one with the Force and can't even use Force ghosts. They can't even do that. That is when, like, Kanan, for instance, didn't ever learn to be a Force ghost, but can talk to Rey in that instance because she is communicating with him through the world between worlds. He's not actually there in physical spirit or physical Force ghost. It is actually just through the portal of the world between worlds. You know? Jonathan Welch says, I think we should get a what if show, kind of like Marvel. I thought it would be improbable, but I kind of feel like it's kind of needed for some of the unanswered questions, like what happened to Mace Windu. Well, yeah, I guess true. Or they could just like give us a canonized answer and just give us like a show of short stories of like what happened to Mace Windu, what happened to Grogu after Order 66, where did him and Kelleran go? All these unanswered questions, like you're saying, Jonathan, they could be answered in like a short, like a Tales of the Jedi type thing, you know? Honey Badger says, so pretty much just like the storyline in What If, where Doctor Strange's girlfriend dies over and over and over again, it's destiny and it has to happen. True, but the only difference is with Marvel, there is a multiverse. With Star Wars, there isn't. You know? Swagger Like Us says, the Mortis gods were associated with the world between worlds in Rebels. Very true. Thus, Morai, the daughter, finds Ezra and takes him to Ahsoka. The whole episode was destiny. That is also true. So the world between worlds entrance is a big mural of the Mortis gods. And now you're getting into some crazy lore stuff, but the Mortis gods are very the living embodiments of the Force, like this whole big thing. But Morai, the owl-looking creature, is representative of the daughter who follows around Ahsoka, and she is the one who kind of leads Ezra to bring Ahsoka back. So it is very destiny-filled type thing. So how Ahsoka's gonna navigate herself through that, I don't know, but we'll see. The daughter via Morai is Ahsoka's guardian. Yes, true. So do you think when Ahsoka dies, she will become the daughter? And do you think Anakin is already the father? Do you think that's why we never see Force Ghost Anakin, is because he is living out as the living embodiment of the father, of the balance between the light and the dark? 22 years is the light side, 22 years is the dark side. Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, Darth Vader, the Sith Lord. Is he the father? Is he the Mortis God? Is that why we don't see Force Ghost Anakin Skywalker ever? It's a possibility. And it could also be a possibility as to why we don't see Ahsoka either. She becomes the living embodiment of the daughter of the light side. And maybe Palpatine, after he died in Rise of Skywalker, becomes the living embodiment of evil in the dark. You never know. I did? What? Oh, sorry, Badger. I thought I already read that. My fault. But that isn't. Oh, wait. No, I've read that. I talked all about that. That's what brought me on that tangent, Badger. He says, but isn't that technically what Ezra did to save Ahsoka from Vader? Sort of. So what will the stipulation be if she can save Anakin? Will there be an alternate timeline, or will a new one be created? Like I said, there's no timeline being created nor destroyed when Ezra saves Ahsoka. It had to happen. It did happen. It happened every time. Ahsoka never died. She never died. She was always pulled from the portal by Ezra. Just like Anakin was never pulled from a portal. Anakin always turned to the dark side, you know? I read that. I know for a fact I read that. That's what put me on that whole tangent. All right, we are going to get on out of here. It has been an hour and a half. We are... I sent one about how we basically got Ben Solo back. I don't see that. What? Send it again. There's no... This message you speak of does not exist. This message you are describing is not available. You must send again. Dum 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 dum. Smash a gosh darn like on this video. Go check out the description. There is a link to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join that Discord. We have a lot of fun in that Discord as well. I asked if there was a way we could get Ben back via the World Between Worlds because he is pulled out during the fight in versus Palpatine in Episode 9. I did not see that message because it doesn't exist, Badger! But it's a great question. He does disappear. So there is a possibility that at some point somebody came and pulled him out. And maybe that's what happens if you get pulled out, you just disappear. But also, when you disappear, you become a Force ghost. But as to our knowledge, we don't know that Ben Solo knows how to become a Force ghost. So maybe him disappearing like that. But don't his clothes stay? Somebody, all right, I'm looking it up right now. Do Ben Solo's clothes disappear when he disappears in The Rise of Skywalker? I'm looking on Disney Plus right now. I gotta know. I gots to know. All right, we gotta turn the volume off somehow. I'll just press pause. Hang on. Pause. Okay. Where is Ben Solo? When Ben Solo dies. Oh yeah, by the way, Ben Solo dies. Spoiler alert. Let's see. His clothes stay there. So he either gets pulled through the World Between Worlds naked, like ass out naked, or or he's turned into a Force ghost like Obi-Wan when he disappears. It would kind of be funny if somebody saved him from the World Between Worlds and they like forgot his clothes. But I don't think that's how it happened. Because I think when Ahsoka gets pulled by Ezra, like Vader sees the portal and he like has a reaction to it. So I don't think that's what happened. I think Ben Solo's gone for good, you know? You know? Swagger Like Us says, the World Between Worlds was destiny for Ahsoka and Ezra. Not to mention Ezra learns his last lesson in the World Between Worlds when Ahsoka helps Ezra to let go. Very, very true. Very, very true. Honey Badger says, yes, they do. The clothes stay there. All of Ben disappears, unlike Kenobi and Yoda when they pass. Wait, what? No, I just watched. Wait. Did his clothes disappear? He disappeared. His clothes were still there. Then you see Leia disappear. Then you see stuff falling from the... What? Yeah, no, I think his clothes stay there. You actually don't really get a good look at it, honestly. If they wanted to explain it that his clothes did disappear, wouldn't be all that difficult. Gotta hand it to episode 9. Visually, it's stunning. But yeah, no, I think his clothes stay there. It is a brief scene, but you never know. Honey Badger says, what? I thought all of Ben disappeared, even his clothes. Man, that's a bummer. Well, if you go watch it, it's like the briefest scene. His body like collapses like into nothingness, but his clothes are still there. But it quickly goes away to Leia, who disappears as well. So you never know. It could be possible. It could be possible. You know. It could be possible. All right, let's get on out of here. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you for sticking around. Of course, had to start off the stream on a low note, but we kept it positive for the most part. Rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. Sucks to see him go so soon. Hopefully, I mean, I know his performance is going to be great in the Ahsoka show, but hopefully he gets the recognition and the love that he deserves from the Star Wars community when that show comes out. Have a great rest of your evenings. Watch out for a video maybe tomorrow, if not Thursday. Live stream Thursday, live stream Saturday, and live stream next Tuesday, which will be my birthday. So come by at 6 p.m. next Tuesday. Yeah, for an awesome birthday stream. Don't miss out on any content by hitting that subscribe and, of course, hitting that bell so you get notified every time I post a video, and my pretty face will show up in the recommended feed of yours. And may the Force be with you. Always. Where's that stupid button? I always lose that button. What a great stream. What a great show. See you later, Jonathan. See you later, Badger. R.I.P. Ray Stevenson. Yeah, of course. And don't worry about being late. Never worry about being late. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. Shout out to Jonathan. Haven't seen you in a while. Have a great night. Have a great rest of your evenings. Have a great rest of your lives. And good night, everybody.